Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and the very first thing I want to say is that I am not going to be speaking positively or negatively about the show itself in this video. If you would like to know my personal opinions on the show, I have other videos that go into detail about that. This video is about the culture surrounding Teen Titans Go, and not about the show itself. I wanted to make this video to explain to everybody why people are still talking about Teen Titans Go. I've seen people who are fans of the show ask this question. I've seen people who don't like the show ask this question. I've seen people who are completely indifferent to the show that don't understand at all why anyone is talking about it. So now I present to you 5 reasons why critics are still speaking very harshly about Teen Titans Go that have nothing to do with the quality of the show itself. Do note that these are not necessarily reasons why people hate the show, but are instead reasons why people continue to talk about why they hate the show. First and foremost, it's based on a much-loved franchise. And I'm not just talking about the 2003 series. I'm talking about the Teen Titans comics as well, and any Batman TV show, movie, or video game that has featured Robin. The Robin character specifically has been in a lot of places over a lot of decades, so it's only natural people care about him and the quality and kind of show that he's going to be featuring in. And in fact, this is exactly what the executives are banking on. See, there's no reason to make a spin-off unless you think that you can capture an audience based upon pre-existing recognition. While a part of that is definitely about trying to capture the original audience, this also extends to just name recognition, trying to capture people who know of Robin or the other characters. And that's why I think it's fair that people are very critical of these spin-offs and reboots, considering the network decided to take something that is pre-existing instead of starting from the bottom. It's completely bonkers to use the same characters that have existed in other shows and other things and not expect people to compare them. And while yes, it might be wrong to try and do a one-to-one comparison of things that are of different genres or of different medias, it's not silly at all to at least compare little things. After all, why would they use the same characters that have existed in other things if they weren't going to at least have a few things in common? What's the point in using a character's name and design and not having them share anything else with the character? So yeah, I'm sure Teen Titans Go attracted a lot of people who don't normally watch these kinds of cartoons and were only interested because maybe they've read a comic book or played a video game or seen another show with these characters in them and decided to take to the internet to talk about how this isn't what they wanted or expected from these characters. You see this with a lot of different things, from The Simpsons to SpongeBob. People will watch other episodes of things even if they don't like them just because they're attached to things that they do like. They might watch it out of obligation even if they don't like each and every episode, therefore they'll continue to talk about it online. It's kind of the whole we boo because we want to cheer. People will keep watching because once upon a time the show was something that they liked and wanted and are still hoping desperately that the show is going to somehow change to fit their demands. So yeah, Teen Titans Go is still being talked about because it's not just one series, but a part of a bigger franchise. And a part that I might add is quite a bit different from a lot of other parts of the franchise. Number 2, it's a successful show. Ratings-wise, from sources that I've seen, the show is doing a little bit better than Steven Universe, consistently getting over 1.5 million viewers and every so often dipping into over 2 million viewers. And the creators themselves have even admitted that the show is very successful. Not only is this something that gives the detractors something to keep talking about, but it's a lot easier to take pot shots at something that's successful. If something's not very successful, well then everybody kinda knows it's bad and doesn't really talk about it. If it's successful, you don't really feel guilty about it because the people behind the show have a lot going for them. And what this also kind of proves is that people who are making fun of and talking down on the show are the minority. They're the underdogs. They're the ones who have something to prove. Although there's a lot of people online complaining about Teen Titans Go, I'm not quite sure it reaches 2 million. People want to have a cause. They want to have something to fight for. And fighting against something that is super popular is definitely a lot more fun and challenging and interesting than fighting against something that really isn't popular at all and you're the overwhelming majority. And the show being very popular keeps it in the limelight, which leads me to my next point. Number 3. Cartoon Network advertises this show like there is no tomorrow. Seriously, you cannot watch Cartoon Network without seeing some form of Teen Titans Go advertising in the commercials. This is not a knock on Teen Titans Go, this is just me saying that across the board, even on shows that I love to death like Steven Universe, Cartoon Network loves to advertise the heck out of it and make it look really stupid. So people that don't like the show are constantly being reminded that the show exists. exists. It's not something they can simply ignore if they like any other show on the network, because you're bound to see it. Even if you watch Cartoon Network online, the commercials they give are for Teen Titans Go. So it's going to be fresh in people's minds and makes people want to keep going online and talking about it. Especially because of one particular way that Cartoon Network likes to advertise it. They gave the show the tagline, "Your new favorite show." And they use that tagline very, very often. So naturally, this upsets people who don't like the show. It's a pretty annoying thing to claim in the first place, but considering how controversial Teen Titans Go is, that ad campaign should not have happened. Trying to imply that a certain show is your favorite show, not that it's the popular show, not that it's the highest rated show on your network, but that it's your favorite show specifically, is a pretty gutsy move that I don't think I'd be happy with, even if they did advertise my favorite show like that. So yeah, having Cartoon Network constantly saying your new favorite show is this is definitely something that's gonna make people want to go online and talk about how it is definitely not their favorite show. And similarly, at number 4, Cartoon Network airs the show a lot. Teen Titans Go gets the SpongeBob treatment with constant reruns and marathons. I don't really have much else to add, as this is very similar to the whole commercial thing, but yeah, if the show's going to continue airing and continue being on TV and just continuing to remind people of its existence, of course people are going to keep talking about it. It can get really annoying when one show is dominating the schedule. Again, we've seen this for years with SpongeBob, and even if Nickelodeon only aired the best episodes of SpongeBob, it would still get really repetitive and really old really fast. A healthy network needs to have a lot more variety than constantly showing one show over and over again. And lastly, number 5, perhaps my most important point, is that the show has actively responded to its criticism. The show has made 2 episodes, Let's Get Serious and The Return of Slade. The creators have explicitly stated that both of these episodes are in fact reactions to the criticisms that they've gotten. And it's only natural when someone responds to what you've been saying that you're going to want to talk even more about the subject and give a response to their response. It's not really much of a surprise that most of the people who don't like Teen Titans Go weren't very impressed with these 2 episodes and the way the creators decided to respond. It's pretty much as simple as that. And you have to also remember that animation takes a long time. So when the creators made these episodes, the discussion about the show and the criticisms were very loud and very vocal on the internet. I think that since then they died down a little bit, and then of course they flared up months later when these episodes happened to air. It's one of the things you have to be careful of when making an animated show, as they take months and months to be made and then to be aired. That is why people are still talking about Teen Titans Go. And if you don't believe me on any of these things, I have one last piece of evidence that should hopefully convince you. You remember a little show called Breadwinners? Do you remember how everyone was calling it the worst cartoon ever and everyone just couldn't stop talking about how bad it was? How many people talk about Breadwinners now? I don't think it's that many. Sure, some people are, but you see much less conversation about how bad Breadwinners is in comparison to how bad Teen Titans Go is. It's not that people have changed their minds on Breadwinners or that Breadwinners has become a better show. It's just that that show didn't get popular. That show isn't constantly being advertised. That show isn't constantly being aired. That show isn't based off of a pre-existing franchise that people love. And that show, as far as I'm aware, never made any direct references to the criticism it's received online in its show. If Teen Titans Go wasn't based on a much-loved franchise, wasn't as successful as it is, Cartoon Network didn't advertise or air it as much as it does, and the show didn't respond, well, I'm sure people would still think the same of the show. They would still hold the same opinion, but I guarantee you people would care less. People would talk less. People would say it's bad and then move on. But people are attached because of all of these factors, and that's why Teen Titans Go is still being talked about. Now, personally, I don't want to talk about Teen Titans Go anymore. I don't want to watch any more of this show. I don't want to think about the show. And that's why I'm not making any more Teen Titans Go videos. At least for a long while, and at least not on the show itself. If I make another video, it will most likely be about this, the culture surrounding Teen Titans Go, because honestly, I think it's way more interesting than the show itself. Maybe someday Teen Titans Go will do something so interesting and outrageous that I'll feel the need to make another video on, but at least for the immediate future, I am done making videos about Teen Titans Go. Before I go though, I would just like to say one thing to the people who do continue to watch and talk about Teen Titans Go. If watching and talking about this show is something that you genuinely want to do, if you enjoy criticizing it, if you just want to have this conversation, go ahead and by all means do it. And if you think you have something meaningful to say, of course, share your opinion. But if you're only talking about Teen Titans Go because you think that talking about it so much will get it canceled, or you think that signing petitions will get it canceled, then honestly, I have to tell you that no, you're not going to get it canceled by talking about it online. Feel free to talk about how much you think the show is bad, but don't be under the impression that you're fighting some sort of war and that what you say online is actually going to matter to the people who make the show. Also, please don't take it too far. I've seen some really disgusting comments about people who are literally calling for the people who make this show to be hanged, and that is completely insane. Sure, some people are being facetious, but there are people who genuinely say and think stuff like this, and it is sick. It is really sick. Dislike a show as much as you want, but do remember that it is just a show. And as a bonus point that's not on the list because it's not a solid fact, but just conjecture on my part, I think that Cartoon Network plays into the controversy a little bit. As many fans have pointed out, people that are constantly criticizing and talking about Teen Titans Go are still spreading awareness of the show through word of mouth. And all those people, including myself in the past, who watched the show to criticize it or talk about it on the internet, are still giving them a view and still making the show a little bit more successful. So it's not entirely unheard of that Cartoon Network did their advertising campaign and other things to intentionally provoke people into talking about it on the internet. And to all you people that like Teen Titans Go, just remember that you're in the majority. Despite what people online are saying, as far as people who actually watch the show, you are in the majority and you are watching a show that is successful. So just be aware that the internet is a place where everyone can speak freely. Just like you're allowed to talk about how much you love the show, people are allowed to talk about how much they hate the show. And I hope that these reasons give you at least a little bit more of an understanding as to why people continue to talk about the show, even if you can't really see why people hate it. PIEGUYRULZ, out.